Thank you, everybody, for joining once again another State of the Thunder session. We are at episode 10. Woohoo! Massive milestone. This is huge. I'm impressed that we're doing this and we're continuing consistently. And it's great. A lot of values and a lot of important information are shared. Before we start, I would like to call in Mr. Michael Ellis. We would like to give thank you and a shout out to everyone that took time to provide input on community improvements. Mr. Ellis, do you have any updates on the Mozilla Connect link that you share with the community or anything else that people participated to?
Absolutely. Yeah, we just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who visited Connect to share their input. So the other week we put a call out for everyone's input on ways we might improve the Thunderbird community. If you've already had an opportunity to provide your input, we wanted to thank you very much for doing so. We made the post on a number of platforms, Reddit, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Connect, and we had a response from a number of you, and we really appreciate all that input. We've been collecting it, we're analyzing it as a team, and using it to craft our decisions as we plan for the remainder of the year and next year. And if you've not already had a chance and you still want to provide some input, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about this, we'll have some link in the notes. We'll have a link available in the notes that you can follow, and there's still time remaining where you can hop in, provide your input, and that'll still be captured. So again, thanks everyone.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. All right. So we got a session packed with questions. Some questions are all related with each other, others are pretty random. But the first one that we got in moderator is an internal question that comes from one of our folks. Let me copy paste this question inside the chat as I promised I would do at the beginning of this session. It's very generic, very high level, but it's a very interesting question. So as we move towards having more traditionally commercial offerings with services that are built on top of other projects, what is our plan in helping those projects maintenance and financial sustainability? If we find a good model, can we imagine extending it to our apps too? I'm not super expert with the pro services, but if I'm not wrong, the only thing that we're building on top of an existing project is Thundermail, which is built on top of Stalwart. And once again, if I'm not wrong, we are collaborating with the maintainer of Stalwart, and we're offering support, not only technical, but also financial. I will dig deeper into this and I can provide a lot more details later. But in general, the general answer is yes, of course. If we use an existing project, an existing open source project to build our tools and our products, our paid commercial products on top of those, we will ensure that that project gets support, not only technical, but also financial support by redirecting some monetary value and supporting their development sustainability and supporting their well-being. Of course, we build our product on top of another product. We need to play nice. I don't think there's any other one because Send is from abandoned Firefox Send. Appointment is from scratch. We're not using any existing product or existing open source project. Sync is pretty much we rebuilt Sync from scratch to be able to do it for us. And Thundermail we have there. Am I missing something? I don't know. Anybody? So yeah, but yeah, good question. And definitely the second part of this question is the most complicated but interesting one. Like if we find a good model in terms of sustaining, maintaining financial and technical support, can we imagine extending it to our apps so users? Yeah, for sure. Like there's this is something that Ryan touched upon in the previous State of the Thunder session when we talked a lot about services, especially appointment. We already know that we have users and community members that they forked appointment and they are deploying on premise on their own infrastructure, and that's great. That's why we put it open source and we want that. But we want to also allow them to have an easy path, an easy model to follow if the tool that they're using for free and they fork what we're doing, offer them the possibility in an easy way to support us and ensure that the tool is long lasting and maintain and stuff like that. But we haven't thought about that. I think we're focusing right now exclusively on making good products and good tools that are sustainable, and we'll figure it out later. Probably an enterprise offer, a support offer. There are multiple venues that, but yeah, very interesting thought process there. Thank you for the question. Now we have a bunch of questions. We have a total of 6 questions. Some are technical, some are very generic, others are related to each other, collected from various forums. A lot of these come from the Italian community because, yay, we are the best. But so thank you everybody for submitting this question. The first one is, let me once again copy paste in the chat. There you go. So the interface is difficult to customize, but more importantly, is difficult to discover all the options available because they're scattered around settings, account settings, top menu bar, context menus, etc. 140 introduced the appearance section in the settings. Any plans to continue this effort with some more drastic restructuring of the UI? The general answer is yes. We know that our user interface is not the most intuitive and welcoming one. Thunderbird is very powerful. We have a lot of features, but that means that discovering those features takes time and they're hard to expose and bubble up without overwhelming some users. Um, uh, Next year we have like almost ready to be shared roadmap for next year, which is mostly the continuation of this year most roadmap. But next year's roadmap is going to see the involvement of restructuring the settings part, the account settings and settings. Those are, I would say, one of the most confusing part. Like multiple settings that touch similar things are scattered around in different locations and things like that. So we found some praises online for the appearance settings. Users seem to appreciate when we group all the related settings into a simple section that they all can customize and edit and manipulate at the same time, rather than as it was customary to do in the past. If you have an options, just put it in a sub menu, or just put it in a menu bar, or just put it in a context menu and things like that. But those, as we know, they're not discoverable at all. So yes, it's a long and difficult process, but the direction is to definitely restructuring more the UI, not to remove options, but to simplify the discoverability of those options and make it even easier to customize Thunderbird because it's more linear, it's more intuitive. You don't need to dig through hundreds of settings or open the config panel to change all of these things. So yes.
One of the ideas we're exploring currently in the community and DevRel teams are, and again, this would be something to explore on a longer timeline, not something for the immediate future, but for a longer roadmap, possibly putting together collections of settings that could be turned on, perhaps coupling that with a theme to give users the option to bubble some of these up to the surface more easily, and essentially do exactly what this question is asking. It doesn't
Yeah.
exactly address the organization, but it does address being able to help people discover some of those
Mhm.
more popular settings.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance. Like I'm very curious to if there's any way that we can understand, like if some users cannot find an option inside Thunderbird, do they do a research inside our support forum? Do they do a research inside like our official documentation, or they do just a Google search and maybe they find a 15 years old Reddit answer that is not really relevant? What is the path there? And is there an option for us to do better community documentation to expose these things and how findable they are? I don't know if there's an answer to this.
They do all those things.
Great.
Also, they do Chat GPT now because
Oh
there's
no.
a free account. No, seriously. So I feel like we don't have an official sort of stance on this, but I feel like unofficially, I'd like to explore that. It's like feed all our knowledge base articles for both developers, but that's not my department. Users is my department, right? For users, feed the Sumo knowledge base articles and the nice Reddit threads and whatever else on the internet that we think is accurate. And then we give people a chat bot. I feel that that would actually, sadly, a commentary on our society. if you're sort of not 100% pro machine learning like I am, that would actually increase the satisfaction, and I think it would actually surface better answers, especially the ones that will give you links to the KB articles or the Reddit threads, and then allow you to say, hey, well, this answer is wrong, or this KB article is wrong. That gives us feedback, and then our writers can, which is me for the moment, the writers can like fix things.
Nice.
It's an idea, but if anybody wants to do that, RAG, using our Sumo knowledge base, it's open source, you can do that. And if you do, please ping me or Wayne or Michael, any of the community facing people, or Heather, and we'll try to like move it a wee bit forward.
Do you feel like there are mixed sentiments in the community about whether or not that should be something that is, user and community supported, or something that we could lean on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a sense of that, but I just feel like it's just like YouTube used to be the world's second largest search engine. It's just reality. People are using it. Maybe people are using Google search. We know that as reality, and they don't really use Sumo search, support.mozilla.org search as nearly as much. And they even use YouTube search looking for videos about how to use Firefox and Thunderbird for sure. So why wouldn't they use something if it's all the rage, if it's popular like ChatGPT?
But you also have people in our community who are very much not for those tools, and I can
Well, we're
think
not
of
getting rid of our knowledge base. This doesn't imply we're not getting rid of our written text. We're not.
exactly that this is like, have this as an optional way to get to the knowledge base.
Optional
with
for
the
sure.
knowledge base completely there for people who want to do completely human-powered search. So
Right. If we don't have a good knowledge base, we can't power video. We can't power these things that we're talking about. So like machine learning bot or whatever, can't power that without good human-based content, or at least human-vetted content.
much less making sure that you train it on the answers and not the questions, which other things have had problems. It's like, oh wait, this code it generated, it was from the goofed up code. Whoops. But yeah, but I think once again having this as an option and something that if you want to use it, great, and if you don't have to use it, you don't get forced. I think that's a big sticking point.
Absolutely. We never force people to use anything.
Yeah.
Except Thunderbird, please use
Oh, yeah.
Thunderbird. That's forced.
Kind of do want you to use that.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, no, interesting. Yeah, that's yeah, we're gonna explore as much as possible. Other than the engineering and design effort to simplify our interface, definitely we need to put our resources where users like to search things. And yes, we had the effort of YouTube videos. The problem that we still have is we prefer, and I think like Roland and Michael, you can confirm this, we prefer to have the data in our tools, especially written tools, because whenever we change something in our code, we can update that text very quickly and be always up to date. Putting posts on social media or like putting posts on Reddit or making a video on YouTube, inevitably after months or years, that gets outdated. It doesn't reflect reality anymore. So we need to try to find a way to control that data and keep it always up to date, which is, a long term is complicated. All righty. Moving on, there's a follow-up question from another user, and then I had another question from another user, almost like 10 minutes distance from each other, which are slightly related to this one, but the opposite. So the first question, this one that we just tackled, is a user said, the interface is too complicated, it's too difficult to find things. Can we simplify it? And the follow-up question was, using manual configuration during the email setup has become more difficult with time with the prioritization of email auto configuration. So this user is complaining that the simplification that we did in the account setup, when you put your email and your password and we auto discover your settings and we tell you, hey, connect to your server with these settings, we just found them for you, is detrimental to the manual configuration step, and they prefer the manual configuration step. This is a hard balance that we always struggle with. In the past, I think before version 78, if I'm not wrong, like manual setup configuration and auto config were on the same level. When you launched Thunderbird for the first time to set up an account, you could choose if you want to just go to the manual config directly with a button. that confused a lot of users, especially non-technical user, because suddenly you have, okay, now add your IMAP endpoint, add your authentication protocol. What is your port? Well, like all these things that normal people that just want to set up their email account, they don't know what it is. So we prioritize auto discovery and a more automated, guided setup rather than a manual setup. But then we have the flip of the coin with users that are technically proficient and they want that. And now they don't like the auto configuration, they just want the manual setup. So open question for everybody. What is the balance there? Like how can we support both without exposing to people that could be confusing to them, exposing the manual setup or the complexity of the configuration that we support, but you maintaining it in a way that it's foundable and it's discoverable to the people that they want that. Anyone wants to give their opinion? There are no wrong answers here.
I mean, kind of like, going back, people when we only had table view. And then we switched to the new cards view, but we didn't get rid of table view. It was always an option. I mean, how easy would that be to kind of have this as set an option to use the auto discovery account hub type experience or to do it manually? But I guess there's always that question of when you can that be something that could when people first install Thunderbird, a question of, hey, what do you want to use to add your email? Do you want to use the manual one if you're a more technical user, or would you like us to help you with it?
Yeah, and these are the questions, right? And there are a million answers to either of both approaches. The most common things are asking questions on first launch to a user that maybe they just want to set up the email and use the email. That's you're adding friction points when you start asking questions on first run. But then also you expose a question that not everybody understands. Like my mom that tries to set up, I always use my mom as an example. Like my mom, she's not technically proficient, but she is. But still, like if you expose to her, she wants to set up Thunderbird with her email. She knows her email account and her password, and that's it. And the first question is, do you want to do automatic configuration or manual configuration? What does it mean for a user that doesn't know what is it one wrong or one better or an incorrect one? And how much space do we want to use to explain what those options are? Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and I know thankfully, we've got this great design team now who is doing kind of so much UI UX work and thinking about these workflows and thinking of some of the stuff we've done in the calendar UI to kind of go through those workflows and be like, okay, if you're doing this, where do you want the information? How do you err on that side of not having how do you find that Goldilocks zone between not having enough information and drowning people in information? And thankfully, I know that these are complicated questions, but we've got, I think, a really good team that is thinking about, the processes to find them. And it's been great to see, kind of with the usability studies, to see the community in Topic Box. And I will go ahead and put a link to some of those to see how our community is helping us answer these.
Thank you so much, Monica. And for those of you that are tuning in via the podcast, in the comments section, I just commented, for those of you that don't already know, Mrs. Castellani never misses an episode of State of the Thunder.
I always mention my mom in every single episode. Yes, she's with me all the time.
Say hi, get it over with.
Whether I want it or not. Yes. Natalie?
I was just going to chime into this, that last question. So my thinking is that this also kind of goes to the sustainability of the project. If you want apps should be friendly for all users. And I think that making a process that's easy for people to sign up and on board with the first time user experience is important, so that you cover that, 90%, whatever. I mean, a high percentage of users that really just want to get on and use it. The power of the tools, and I think that hopefully the tools that we'll build is that they're also for the people that want to go in the depth. Those options are there, as opposed to there's tools that are just simple, that are very easy and user friendly, but then you don't have those options to go in and really be able to customize them. So ideally, the tools that are being built are very friendly to the mass people that want to use them, but have those extra capabilities for those that want to dig deep. I actually just was curious, so I went into Account Hub, and I mean, I personally, it's once you start setting it up, it's definitely tailored to somebody just being able to put in the user and password and go, and everything is auto discovered. But the edit configuration link seems like it's fairly easy to find. So
Yeah, it is.
get into everything. So
Yeah, the
seems like the
complaint.
right balance.
Yeah, the complaint is like I need to go through the process to find the edit configuration. I want the manual configuration right away. And that's as you said, that's the balance. Like that seems to me we're catering to a small subset of very technical users and creating an artificial barrier to users that don't have that. And our goal, not to diminish the importance of the technical user, but our goal is to be as usable and approachable as an application as possible to the masses. And unfortunately, the masses are not all technical. So we need to make compromises, which is a perfect segue for the next question, which is a long one, but it ties with what we've been talking about, like the balance between complexity, discoverability, and how many things we put inside our code. So the next question is, I'm going to copy it, and comes with a lot of links. So I apologize. The chat is going to be filled. But the question is, Thunderbird is powerful with a lot of options, but it should have more. Any plans to integrate import-export tools add-on and add more functionalities? What about these other add-ons? And the user provided a list of add-ons that they really like and they really use. I'm going to share my screen and I want to go through super quickly through these add-ons and the specific features that these add-ons implement and add to Thunderbird, the way that they extend it. So the first add-on here, and the chat, get out of the way, is a config date. So an add-on to customize the date display, and you can change it to change the display of the date. Another add-on that the user uses and wants is these account color. So we have the ability to customize the color of each account, but we only show it with the icon. We only change the color of the icon. We don't color the entirety of the panel and the message list to match the color. Then another one is printing tools, which apparently is not compatible with the recent version, but extends functionality of printing specifically for address book. Attachment extractor is another one, which you can select multiple messages and extract all the attachments and create a pattern to generate that file. Then another one is allow HTML temporarily and sanitize the HTML. Unfortunately, the screenshots are in German. Maybe Roland can translate them for us, but there are a lot of options to control more drastically how you render a specific message and how you validate it. And then the first one that was mentioned, which import-export tools that allows to export your files, export your profiles, export all the other things and control all these across multiple installation of Thunderbird. So this is the complexity, right? We have some users that they really love all these very intricate specific options to control the formatting of the date strings and export and use specific backups in a specific way, having multiple printing options for your cards or for your address books. But then the first problem is, yes, we could add all these options from an add-on inside core. It's fairly straightforward. We add these features inside core and that's it. But first, we automatically on our own kill our add-ons ecosystem. So we remove the ability. Some of our add-on developers, they get a small monetary contribution, or yeah, like financial contribution from their add-on. So what is the balance there? When do we say this feature is important enough for us to put into core, but we're going to remove that financial support that these people get from their add-ons? But the other aspect is, what is the balance of how many features are too many features? And when does an application become suddenly more difficult to discover? And we already have this dualism in our users, that some users tell us Thunderbird is too complicated, simplify the interface, please. And others that tell us Thunderbird should have more options and add these options in a context menu, or put another tab, or add another section. So what do we do there? How do we approach this?
Is there perhaps some historical context we could pull from? I think for a period of time, Thunderbird, and I say this because I was literally reading this comment the other day from a contributor. For a period of time, Thunderbird had a habit of adding all the features, regardless, a user would mention a feature, sure thing, we'll add it. And the end result was the product and the software became clunky, bloated, and slow. So perhaps we can pull from that historical use case and say, we tried one approach before. So I think obviously, as you mentioned previously, that balanced approach is the right one to take, but what that looks like and how we go about and where those lines are drawn is a larger conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's the willing, or like the underlying will of being competitive with paid products. So I think it's kind of normal to think that in order to be competitive, you need to have more features and you need to add more things to it. But yeah, as you said, it's a balance, because every feature that we add is maintenance and technical debt that we add to the application. So it's a delicate things that, can we add these, and are we sure that we can support it, and we're not just gonna remove it after a few months because it's just terrible or no one uses it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, just going back to what I was saying earlier, it's just that's kind of the power of Thunderbird, is that initially it can be lightweight and it can be very simple as its own as a standalone application for somebody that just needs to use it for what it is. Then on top of that, having the add-on space is like kind of the superpower of it, I think, is the fact that you can then go and you can pull. I mean, it's almost like it's its own app store. Like you can pull from it and you can do, and then it also kind of feeds almost a community around Thunderbird because of all these add-on developers. Everybody, it's some mini app that is written for Thunderbird, and it's the collaboration, the collaborative space, and the ability to customize it until your heart's content, but also have it very simple. I don't know. I think that's the superpower of the app. So
Yeah, well said. I like that. And we discussed about add-ons a lot, especially how to support them better and how to make them more sustainable. I think like the question from the users of, can you integrate this add-on into core, mostly comes from the fact that every new release, the add-on breaks, or a lot of add-ons break because the add-on maintainer or the developer, they don't have time to upgrade it to the latest version of the API change and things like that. We're trying to mitigate that a lot. We're trying to create a lot of stable APIs that even when we change the API, we offer an upgrade path and we offer a migration path from the old to the new one. Unfortunately, a fair amount of add-ons in our add-on represent, they use web experiments, which don't use any API. So if we change the UI, the web experiments won't work. We always discourage people from using web experiments, but we understand that not all the things that add-ons developers wants to do are available through official APIs, but we're putting a lot of work to extend those. And also we are talking about trying to find a way to better support, even financially, our add-ons developers, like offering them an easier way to get financial support from the people that use their add-ons, so they have a financial incentive to keep supporting and not deprecating or not abandoning their add-on. But yeah, my personal opinion is if there's an add-on that does one thing and it's a very specific, unique thing, I would much prefer to support that add-on's developer so they can keep like supporting and updating rather than we grab that code and we put it into core. Sounds kind of, I don't know, just passive aggressive a little bit. I don't know, just personal opinion. But anyone else says anything on this question? Otherwise, we can move to the next one.
Yeah, I do.
Go.
And first of all, I just want to confess that I have been an add-on developer in the past, and I have let my add-ons lapse, and they are generally not compatible with ESR 140 yet. I don't have time. But what I wanted to add from a Thunderbird core engineer point of view is that we already have more than enough work to do maintaining the features that we have. We don't have time to integrate all your add-ons in the Thunderbird. And that is what I love about the fact that we have an add-ons ecosystem, is that people can come along and see a need and they can build an add-on to fix that need if they have the skills. The people who have that need, they can go out and get the add-on if they discover it. But the core of the product, the people maintaining that can focus on the biggest percentage of users, get the basics right, while add-on developers do the last 1% almost for the people who want those particular features.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. Yes, it gets difficult to say yes to every single feature and supporting every single feature, and it's good. And for the majority of the feature requests that end up in an add-on are somewhat features that are very niche and things that are not extremely useful. I don't want to be negative in this comment. I'm trying to use careful word to not sound like negative, that these are not important features. These are important features for a small subset of users. So for us, for core developers, it's always a delicate balance of how much time and investment we want to put on features that are more a niche type of feature rather than the majority of the users or like a larger population, or they can really elevate Thunderbird to compete with what the rest of the monoliths that are out there, like the massive corporation, are offering. So it's always, there's never a clean and cut answer of black and white. It's always like case by case. Let's evaluate things. But yeah, I will love for our add-on ecosystem to actually grow and have a lot more options and a lot more features, because that's the purpose of it, like extensibility through specificity, and it's fantastic. Moving on to the next question is complete change of pace. Put it in the chat. Is the new release channel with monthly versions working properly and bringing any benefits? It's a very generic question. What does it mean working properly? I don't know. So it's working. Yes. We are making it work. It's being released and it's stable. Pretty much. We currently have, I think, 10 to 20% of our active users are already switched to the new release channel. Benefits, I would say yes. They're not measured mathematically yet, but I would really like to have some charts that compare our reactivity to bug reports and the stability of ESR. But we noticed that our ESR this year has a lot fewer bugs, other than because we changed our development process and we're doing things a lot better after the kerfuffle of last year. But there's an aspect of every time we create a new feature and we push it to beta, we always hope to get enough beta reports, like bug reports from our beta users. Unfortunately, our beta population are only 60,000 users ish, back and forth, like they go up and down. Compared to the 10, 50 million users that it's ESR, there's a huge disparity. And the users that are on beta are users that don't primarily use complicated configurations or outdated configuration in their profile. So it's very difficult to get valid reports on something that we change. And most of the times in the past, we used to get the the majority of the bug reports as soon as we release an ESR. Because then a user gets the new features after 1 year, their profile is, they've been carrying the profile for 10 years, 20 years, and suddenly something breaks because none of us has ever gotten exposed to any of that. So what monthly releases are doing are we're increasing the population of monthly releases. So we're allowing a larger exposure of new features to a larger population. And when something is broken on a monthly release, we can just fix it, let it ride the train, and next month you're going to get the fix. We don't need to do complicated uplifts, or we are 6 months into ESR, suddenly we need to update the code that has been changed in the past 7 months, and now a patch doesn't apply cleanly on the code anymore. You need to code on top of ESR, so it gets very messy. With the monthly releases since March, we got a lot more targeted and important and vital bug reports that allowed us to have a much more stable ESR. ESR this year is a lot more predictable in terms of issues and reports. We still have the random things like the MAPI 32 bits Windows installations that are like, okay, 32 bits is still a thing, and suddenly no one uses MAPI in our organization, but whatever. ESR is getting a lot of benefit from the monthly releases, and also our development process is getting a lot more linear, a lot more fluid, a lot less reactive, a lot more predictable. So I would say, yes, it's a huge success. Anyone wants to add anything about?
Yeah, I've got a benefit from having a monthly release. I have stopped thinking about when the stuff that I make will make it to the users. In the past, if I came up with a feature now which would benefit a lot of users, at this time of year, I could think about how that I rush it to the beta channel and get some testing there, and then I rush it to the ESR channel so that the users can see this new thing that I've built. Or I can wait until next July when it's released in the next ESR and the users don't see any benefit, and I don't get any response until next July, which is 11 months after I wrote it. And I've forgotten how it works, and it just makes it difficult to maintain. Now I just make stuff, and I know that after I finished it, in a month or two's time, it's going to be in front of millions of users, and they're going to get the benefit of my work. And I don't have to do any more thinking about that. It just happens. It's great.
It is great. Yes. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. Not waiting for 14 months to show your new features it's incredible. Yes. Moving on, next question. This is also a very generic one, and I think we touched upon this a couple of times, but maybe it's good to reiterate. So any plans on supporting JMAP? The answer is 100% yes. So first of all, we could extend this maybe question like why we're not supporting JMAP in Thunderbird yet. JMAP is still, unfortunately, somewhat of a niche protocol. The major providers, the major servers are not supporting it yet. And those that are supporting it are still not as widespread and implemented as they should be. So it's a chicken and egg type of situation. What do? Do we wait for the major providers to support it before we implement it, or we implement it so we kind of put a pressure on the major providers? The solution, of course, is we're going to be our own providers. So the first thing is Thundermail comes with JMAP by default, with JMAP and IMAP. So that's going to be the first driver of improving the widespread and adoptions of JMAP. We are starting Thunderbird for iOS with the first protocol implementation as JMAP, because it's kind of the easiest when you don't have any technical debt. And then we're going to, of course, when we ship the first version, it's going to have both JMAP and IMAP. But we're using the occasion of, for the first time in 25 years, we're building a new app from scratch. We don't have any limitation. Let's do things properly. Let's create a protocol agnostic implementation, all this beautiful stuff. And we decided to start with JMAP. But also all the things that we learned with the Exchange implementation inside Thunderbird on how to implement a new protocol and how do we clean up the old messy way of doing protocols. That is teaching us a great lesson on how to do it properly. And once the Exchange implementation is finished, we're gonna be able to implement JMAP a lot faster because all the scaffolding and the piping and all the things to clean up the mess has been done. There's a follow-up question that sometimes I get is, why did you decide to implement Exchange before JMAP? And I think we answered this in a past State of the Thunder, but it's good to reiterate. Complete honesty here. Exchange users are almost a billion. Like, I think the last statistics were like around like 700 millions. JMAP users are non-existent in comparison. So we decided from a business point of view, it makes more sense if we need to implement a new protocol on an application that already has users, let's do the protocol that is most widely used in the world, which is unfortunately Exchange. But that does not mean that we're not going to support JMAP. We're absolutely going to support it. So it's happening. I don't know when. We're going to make it happen. We have the last question, which is a long one and is almost a story, but I wanted to put it there because it's an interesting approach to backing up and supporting emails. And that could be like an interesting conversation to have. So I'm going to share the full thing and then I'm going to read it. So this is a message that I got, and it says, I have used Thunderbird since its first release, and I always wondered how to properly and safely maintain backups of local emails. No matter how much I hate Outlook, it offers built-in backup archives of .pst files that can be moved to other installations. The closest thing in Thunderbird is to copy the entire profile folder, but that comes with many more unpredictable outcomes. I might be asking for something uncommon, but I manage many projects with a very heavy communication flow between clients. And when the project is completed, I like to export the project folder with all the messages into a single PST file and create a couple of backups for safety. So no matter if my email server has problems or the emails on my server and computer are accidentally deleted, I have that folder backup as a single file, which I can import into a new installation. That's a very interesting flow. And of course, Outlook uses a proprietary extension, PST, I guess. Why not use .email, but whatever, EML. What do we think about this? I guess like the common answer is just use IMAP, so your emails are on the folders on the server, but the user specifically mentions that email servers might have problems. They might be accidentally deleted, things like that. They like to create an archive that they can back up somewhere else and maybe restore later. Yes, anyone has any opinions or like follow-up questions to that? How would we approach something like that to support this user?
This isn't the greatest answer. It's a problem we haven't really solved all that well. But within your profile folder, you could just copy the mail. It works. It's not brilliant. But if you just copy the mail folder or the IMAP mail folder, you've got that data backed up. It's in a standard format. We use Inbox to store our mail as. And then if you really want to get one of those files back, you can copy it into your new Thunderbird installation. Just copy the Inbox files into your local folders of your new Thunderbird installation, and it will appear there next time you start Thunderbird. I have done this recently with my mum's email from years and years ago, and it does work. Not the world's greatest solution, but it does work.
So that's the thing, right? People have asked this, and this is why we have import-export tools add-on and many other these add-ons over the years. It is as simple, if you're a technical person like Jeff or anybody else on this call, that does work. But if you're a busy person, even if you're technical, you could easily make a mistake. And so it would be nice if we had an add-on that put a nice user interface on top of that. And I know people have tried over the years, but it's definitely something that, I don't know, maybe people would pay an add-on developer for. I don't know, because it's a service, right? It's a backup service that you want to back up your old projects. In this case, this user has old folders from old projects he doesn't want to have around in his email, but he wants to be able to restore it when he needs to look back on that business, that project. So I'd say there's definitely a need there, but we've never had the time to address it in core.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of bring this conversation full circle in a way and say I would love it if our built-in import and export tools were better. And if people want
Yes,
to
please.
contribute to that stuff without
Please.
creating an add-on, then they should come to us and talk to us and say, hey, look, I have an idea. I want to implement this sort of importer for the built-in tools, which imports, I don't know, just random folders of emails or exports things for backup. Come and talk to us. Probably easier than building an add-on.
Mm-hmm.
Our importing, exporting stuff is sadly lacking any kind of maintenance. We rebuilt the UI a couple of years ago. We've done a little bit in the back end, but mostly it's a feature we don't have time to maintain. I have been meaning to go out to some of our mailing lists and say, I want some help, just even to create some tests for the things that we do have, because we have, I think, few thousand lines of code there to support Outlook importing and exporting, or maybe just importing. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely untested. We don't have any files there to prove that this is still working. And 6 months ago, I think, I wondered if it even still worked. I added some telemetry to say, hey, is this thing actually working? Are people using it? And sadly, from a maintainer's point of view, people are using it, and we have to maintain it. I would love to throw that code out and start again, but we don't have the test suite for it
Mm-hmm.
to prove that what we've done is right, and we don't have the resources to work on that right now,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So if you're out there and you know stuff about importing and exporting and you want to help, come and talk to us, please.
I saw that in the chat, and Michael put a Matrix link. So besides Matrix, is there like where is the best place if someone listens to this or watches this and goes, yes, I want to help with this? Jeff, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you and your team?
I would say probably through our mailing list or the topic box. Somebody can, it's thunderbird.topicbox.com.
Would this be the developers list? We've got a couple.
Yeah,
lists.
I would go to the developers list or the planning list.
Okay.
Would be a good place to get in touch with us. There's a whole heap of us are subscribed to just about all of the lists, so somebody will get hold of your message.
Perfect. Thank you. And those will be in the show notes if you are listening to this on the podcast, or they will be in the video description if you are watching this on YouTube or TIL vids.
It's perfect. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, it's I was trying to, like, while you were talking, looking around, there's not like a single unified format that is globally accepted by everybody as like email archive. There's like, of course, the mbox, the mailbox extension, or the .eml for single messages. But then, of course, Outlook uses their PST, personal storage table, and they have also MSG, the like restricted permissions message files and all this stuff. And then Apple Mails comes with its own thing. It will be nice to, yeah, definitely extend our import export core tools to be able to support that and create an archive file or like, yeah, a zip file, something that can also be protected with password, like extending those functionalities that we kind of offer, but are untested. We don't fully know if they support all of that. And we still like have all the problems of, if the user data is so big and it comes with a lot of attachment, things like that, then suddenly how do we handle if the file system cannot allow us to store everything into a single massive, I don't know, 70 gigabytes file, something like that? What do we do? How do we gracefully approach it?
Let us create a new archive format. Because we just need one more and it'll be perfect.
Yeah. Like another Linux distro.
I am totally going to link the XKCD comic
Of
of
course.
15 standards. Now we
Yeah.
have 16 standards.
Yeah, that's obviously the solution. Yeah. Question for you, Jeff. Do you think something like that will be simplified with the new Panorama database because it's SQLite based, so it's going to be easier to do backups of multiple folders and multiple messages?
Possibly. Not really, I don't think.
Mm.
Because the important thing here is the contents of the messages, and that is not being stored in the database
Yeah, not the index
yet.
or yes.
10 years down the line it might be, but
Yeah.
it might be easier to say, hey, I want to back up all of these things from a list of emails or a list of folders, but I don't think that will help too much.
Right. Thank you. All right. We are at the end of this lovely session. I don't have any more questions. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for helping me going through these lovely questions. Thanks to our community members for submitting these questions and listening to these episodes. It feels like the stats are going up for the State of the Thunder. More people are listening. So
It's this compelling content
it's
and the
exciting.
masterful
Whoa.
narration and organization by the team.
And I don't know if you saw in the Matrix chat, but we're currently working on getting our competition shut down. There was I came across that obscure robo voice for those that are unfamiliar with the conversation in Matrix. Maybe 48 hours ago, we found a unofficial podcast that was suggesting users call an 800 number for Thunderbird support. It was voiced by a robo voice and hosted on Audible. We have submitted takedown notices and reached out to our legal team to follow up accordingly because, of course, we don't want that kind of content existing in the wild where it might, fall in the hands of a user who mistakenly takes that for an official Thunderbird support line. So, our ratings can only go up from here. With our competition gone and out of the way, sky's the limit for us, I think.
That's right. That's 100%.
Yeah, get around, take down.
There is
Yeah.
no
Oh,
paid
wow.
support, folks. No paid support
That's
from us.
brutal. Yeah, good catch. Good find.
And no
Oh,
phone
yeah.
support currently as well.
And no phone support, which includes it paid or otherwise. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, sweet. Thank you again, everybody. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Ciao, cheers.
Bye bye.